Hey guys, we're going to give it a few minutes and then we'll go ahead and get started. What's going on, that boy Adrian? Good to see you here. Gonna let more people start to flood in now. Shells, good to see you. Second in the chat. Got about two more minutes left, and then we'll go ahead and start the stream. What's going on, Pollo Loco, Lewis, that Mexican, Aculite, Antonia? A lot of good people here. It's going to be a good stream, guys. We're going to talk about the recent chop in the market, some big upcoming events this week, and where I think we're going. Berserk, Zid, Pedram, Talha, Catherine. Let's go. Good people in here. Subrigit, Strano, Hootie, James, Zachary. Ooh, Zachary says, I'm super new. It's interesting. Don't worry, we will get you set right. James, my day was good. My day was good. I actually bought a Tesla today. If any of you guys have a Tesla, let me know. And let me know which model and how you like it. I got it for the full self-driving because, as you know, I'm always working. So a car that drives for me is going to help that much more. James says that Bitcoin signal was elite. I appreciate that. Very, very nice bounce from there. What's going on, Rich? Drew, that boy Adrian said, CD, hope you're having a good one. Just a question, why a late stream? It's my Mimi's time. I'll lose some sleep for some alpha. Hey, the stream's getting recorded, but it's because I was buying a Tesla today, so I had to travel a little bit further distance. And then I had to look at some hardwood flooring for my office because I'm still remodeling that, so I had to push it back a little bit. But nonetheless, we're going to get this stream to you guys one way or another. What's going on? Zwarlin, Lily, Jared, Gerard, George, Pedram, Team Papa, Mika, Sala, Adralan, Eric, Pollo Loco. A lot of good people here. Luke said, Tesla surveillance car. Hey, I'm not doubting that, right? But if it's going to help me to make more money and be more productive, I'll sacrifice a little surveillance as long as I'm not doing anything illegal. All right, guys. With that said, let's go ahead and get this stream started. Now, we got 89 viewers in here. We only got 7 likes. If you guys could like the stream, that'd be awesome. Help spread the stream to the masses. Now, looking at the 24-hour liquidation data, 376 million total liquidations, with majority of those being longs. Now, we did have over 1 billion of liquidations, what was it, 3-4 days ago, which did mark a local bottom shortly after. We had a nice bounce, and then it's basically a dead cat bounce, and we've since then started dropping. Now, we had another bounce recently from that Bitcoin long, which was nice. But since then, again, more chop. Now, I'm going to go over a couple reasons why in a minute. One of them being the Jackson Hole meeting. That's August 21st to the 23rd, which Jerome Powell is going to speak on the 22nd. And I'll go into more detail about that. But basically, people are de-risking ahead of that meeting because it's going to have big implications. Now, looking at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. So, right now, Bitcoin is dropping a little bit. There is some liquidation. Now, this is the 1 week, okay? So there is some liquidation near 119 to 120K, which this is the level to watch if we are going to bounce here. But if you go to the 24-hour, and this is one of the reasons why I posted longs at 113 to 114K, because 114.1K, we have some nice liquidation here. And then this light green area, 112.8K. So hopefully, well, not, I don't hope it gets tagged, but if it does get tagged, more than likely, we're going to see a nice V-shaped recovery from there, a nice bounce. So maybe one last flush to scare everyone, then a V-shaped bounce for Bitcoin. But like I said, a lot of de-risking going on ahead of that Jackson Hole meeting. Next, let's talk about some big events that have been happening. So with Watcher Guru, now, For anyone who doesn't follow Watcher Guru, definitely do so. The guy has a ton of good information, especially about crypto news. So we're going to go ahead and go back to around August 11th. I'm going to post or talk about a couple big news items that happened from there. So some of the big things, Metaplanet has been continuing to buy more Bitcoin regardless of price. So they bought 61 million worth on August 11th. And then you had US inflation data, which remained at 2.7%. Now, what's important from this inflation data, this was the CPI data. Now, the market pumped after this data was released. And one of the reasons was because you had higher likelihood that the Fed was going to cut rates September 17th. Lower CPI inflation, that's good for interest rate cuts. Now, we know that shortly after this, the day or two after, the PPI data was announced and it was higher than expected. And that caused the market to drop because then at that point, you have a lower chance that the Fed's going to cut rates. But nonetheless, you still have roughly a 70-80% chance via poly market that the Fed's going to cut rates. And then even if you go to the CME tool, you actually have nearly a 90% chance. And that was also something I posted on X, but that's something to watch is if we do have that rate cut, which I mentioned the Jackson Hole meeting, August 21st through the 22nd. Jerome Powell speaking on the through the 23rd. Jerome Powell speaking on the 22nd. I believe it's at 10 or 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check my market update when I posted about everything I'm watching for this year, and it'll show you what time exactly. But that's going to tell us a lot if the Fed is going to cut rates next month. Now, also, you have continued tensions between Trump and Powell. Trump is considering a major lawsuit against Powell. Obviously, this has been going back and forth for a while. Trump wants Powell to cut rates. Trump said Powell has again waited too long to cut rates because of the bad jobs report numbers shortly after the July decision to not cut rates. And so if Powell doesn't cut rates in September, I mean, that's going to surprise everyone. I guarantee you, because everyone is starting to price in a rate cut. You know, a week ago, we were really starting to price it in. Now it's a little bit more chopped because there's uncertainty and everyone's waiting to see what Jerome Powell is going to say for the Fed comments. So keep an eye on that because that is going to tell us a lot about the market. Now, also, you have Treasury Secretary Bessent saying the Fed should think about a 50 basis point cut in September. What does this mean? Well, currently the Fed is predicting, or everyone is predicting, a 25 basis point cut for September. So if the Fed cuts 50 basis points, I mean, talk about injecting the economy. You're going to see major stimulus. Quantitative tightening is going to end. And in my opinion, it's going to be a white swan event. I think if it cuts rates more than expected, probably going to have a good, at least short-term pump from there. So watching that. And you also have, trade talks with India on August 12th. Bessent was saying that they're not being cooperative. You're going to have this with any trade talks you're having, especially whenever you're placing tariffs on multiple countries. It's always going to be some negotiation, right? So keep an eye on that. But that's going to be another catalyst for us, the more trades that basically have a positive outcome. So keep an eye on that. And then also Standard Chartered. They raised their 2025 ETH year-end price target to $7,500. Let me ask you guys, what price do you think Ethereum is going to reach by the end of the year? I have a price in mind. Let me see how close you guys are to it. Next, we have Trump saying interest rates should be at 1%. That would be insane if interest rates were near 1%. Remember the COVID rates where they were near zero. That caused an insane stimulus and an insane pump in the market. And then you also have, again, this was the PPI data on August 14th. It rose to 3.3% higher than expectations. This is what caused that drop on August 14th. Then you had a lot of liquidations here. Now, also to add insult to injury, you had Treasury Secretary Bessent saying the U.S. government is not going to be buying Bitcoin. This was on Fox Business. Literally, we had a big drop afterwards. And then an hour later, Bessent tweeted, the government is exploring plans to accumulate more Bitcoin. So remember, the government's plan was always to accumulate more Bitcoin via a delta neutral strategy. This was clearly communicated whenever Trump signed an executive order establishing the SBR, I believe in April. And so that delta neutral strategy, for people that don't know, it's a strategy that's not going to basically come directly from the government's bottom dollar. So tariff savings, gold certificates, something that's not going to come directly from their profits, right? It's just going to be some external source. So they're not actually paying for it. Someone else is paying for it. So that's going to be good whenever the government does announce that plan. It's going to be another big catalyst. Now, also, you had the SEC chair, Paul Adkins, who's very focused on Project Crypto. This was something that was established end of July, and this is ongoing, right? This is a project that's helping to increase adoption for crypto, helping to deregulate, helping to decrease the friction needed to onboard cryptocurrencies to the masses. And that's also something where they were talking with banks and saying how banks cannot discriminate against people that hold crypto. Remember, banks would usually close an investor's bank account for if they held crypto, they would deem them too high risk. Now it's not the case. So that's something that's good. Here you can see Treasury Secretary Bessent says the U.S. government is exploring ways to acquire more Bitcoin to expand the reserve. So like I said, it was an hour later. The market pumped afterwards. Now this is what I was talking about with Jerome Powell, his speech next week on the Fed's policy framework. So keep an eye on that. And then you also have SEC Chair Paul Atkins saying all divisions are mobilizing to make America the crypto capital of the world. So for the United States to be the crypto capital of the world, they need to, at the very least, start accumulating Bitcoin for the SBR or eliminating capital gains tax on cryptocurrency. If they did that, the market would launch. Now, at the very least, eliminating capital gains tax on US-based cryptocurrencies or eliminating tax on any transactions that are lower than $600, both of which they have teased. And so we'll have to see. How serious is the United States about being the crypto capital of the world? Because they're going to have to do some of those. They're going to have to do some of those if they want to really become that major player in the space, just like Dubai, just like Puerto Rico, just like a lot of these other countries that are taking the initiative, even Thailand. So hopefully we see that come to fruition sooner rather than later. Now, also you have Grayscale filing for the S1 Doge ETF. So they filed for a lot of ETFs. I believe the SEC delayed this recently, but you still have a lot of altcoins having ETF applications. Link, XRP, Litecoin, Solana, Doge, etc. Eric Trump consistently bull posting, best KOL in crypto, saying buy the dips. Metaplanet continuing to buy Bitcoin despite the chop. And then also you have Thailand launches a program allowing tourists to convert crypto to the local currency. Very cool on there. Like I said, Thailand is really trying to secure its spot as one of the main crypto hubs. So I believe they are getting there. Michael Saylor's buying more Bitcoin as always. And then you have Treasury Secretary Bessent saying crypto stablecoins will expand dollar access for billions across the globe. This is another thing where you have more adoption from the government, more adoption for stablecoins, which is good for Ethereum via the Genius Act, because when you use stablecoins, it's on the Ethereum network, it's burned for gas, it becomes deflationary via the EIP 1559 mechanism, etc. So with that said, also, shameless plug, if you guys aren't following me at the CryptoData on X, make sure you guys follow me. I provide the best content and try to keep you guys apprised of everything that's going on in the market. Now, let's go ahead and cover some of y'all's questions. I know there was a lot from when I last looked at them. So let's see what we got. Okay, Hootie, what's going on? Let's see. Team Papa, what's going on? Doing great. Pedram says, you going to CoinFest in Bali? I am not, but it should be fun. Let's see. That boy Adrian says, fire bro, congrats on the Tesla. Appreciate it, Adrian. I'm definitely looking forward to it, man. That full self-driving is something else. Appreciate it, Sala. Brian, what's going on? Good to see you. Eric, hey, yes, sir. Smart with Tesla purchase. Hey, thank you, Eric. Appreciate that. It's great. It's great. It's like I said, EVs now, they're becoming a lot easier to use because there's more superchargers around and the mileage is a little bit higher, and it's just overall, they're becoming better. So I decided now is the time to pull the trigger. NFD says, when you meet Luke, say hi to him. Oh yeah, I'll definitely will do. Sala, I have a limit order to long ETH at 41.92. Am I not being pessimistic enough? You know, Sala, I would look at 40.30, so around 4,000 for an ETH long. We may get below that. Like 38.70 to 4,000 is a very good level to long ETH because it's near that trend line support, also horizontal support. And I do think a wick below 4K would scare a lot of people. But I mean, 41.92 is not bad, but may need to layer those longs. Luca, morning. Hey, morning, Luca. Team Papa, how we looking soul trades? Soul trades, 180 for support and 165. Two areas to goodbye. Eswar, hello CD, very boring rainy morning for me. Eswar, well, it's not boring anymore because you're watching the stream, so welcome. William, let's see, Still Marbella. Ow, Still Marbella. Wonder what that means, Willem. Still Marbella. Expand on that a little bit. Let's see. Catherine says, I usually just watch your recording since I can't join the live streams because of the time differences. That's why I'm really glad I could finally attend this one. It's daytime here. Yay. Awesome, Catherine. That must mean you live in either Singapore, China, or Australia maybe, or someplace on the other side of the globe. So awesome. So glad you could join. Welcome. Q-tags. One more pump before September nuke data. You know, maybe one more nuke before the pump, Q-tags. But yeah, if I still believe we're going to have a September nuke. Now, whether that happens beginning of September or end of September, I would place my bets that we're going to pump prior to the FOMC meeting, as people expect a rate cut and they'll try to front run that. And then maybe a sell the news event mid-September to mid-October where we're bearish. That would be my prediction. As far as, hey CD, could you check Arrow and Link? Yeah, I'll check those out afterwards. Meldurin says, wait, is this Luke speaking? No, this is not Luke. My name is John Luke. We are different people. We have similar mannerisms, but no. And don't worry, Meldurin, you're only the 120th person to ask. Eswar, also, can you guys tell us about how to keep limit orders, like how far we should keep our limit orders? Because what if both orders get triggered? Yeah, all you're doing, Eswar, is just placing your limit orders at major support levels on the daily or weekly. That's all you're doing. Maintaining low leverage and placing those limit orders. Mr. Robinson, nah, it's CryptoData speaking. Him and Luke have similar voices. Appreciate the assist, Mr. Robinson. Luis says 8,500 is my guess. All right, he thinks 8,500 for ETH. That one Mexican says ETH hits tops at 6 to 7K. Eswar says 5 to 6K, which is reasonable, and maybe 7.5K max in Q4. All right. Eric, I can see the rate cuts not happening and aligning with a bearish September, having BTC go back to 92K and closing the gap and hitting a reversal in October, and then hopefully Fed cuts rates in October. Very interesting prediction, Eric, and I think you may be onto something. I can definitely see that being not necessarily a black swan per se, but definitely a big FUD event that would cause a huge drop in the market. Definitely an interesting prediction there. I'll keep that one in mind. Salah, I heard September in every post having year has been bearish, and we closed the month red on BTC. Feels like it really comes down to if we get rate cuts. Do you think previous September data holds weight? I think previous September data holds weight, Sala, but I think those rate cuts are going to get front ran and then probably bearish last half of September. Greenland says Link. Yeah, Link's looking good. Eric, end of year, 6 to 7.5K. All right. Sala says Jinx. Adam, apparently there's a death cross happening on Bitcoin dominance on the one-day candle. What would that mean for altcoins? Oh, interesting. Okay, Adam, I'll need to check that out. But a death cross is extremely bearish. So usually we pump into the death cross and then we actually reject from it. So that would mean that alts are going to absolutely send. I know that Benjamin Cohen, his X account is into Cryptoverse. I know that he thinks that, I want to say he thinks that the alt ETH pairs or alt BTC pairs are going to bottom on August 22nd or 23rd by the Jackson Hole meeting. So keep an eye on that. Alts could have a huge bounce around that time, August 22nd to the 23rd. As for also CDs, since September is likely a bearish month, how much percentage profit should we take your spot account, in our spot account? So at least 30% profits, in my opinion. Eric, like up the live stream, guys. Help a lot. Hey, appreciate that, Eric. Yeah, we have 117 viewers and only 40 likes. If you guys could like the live stream, that helps spread it to the masses. Really, really appreciate that, guys. Also, for anyone watching, if you're not in the free Telegram group, highly recommend you join it. First link in the description. If you want to join the premium Gym Hunters group, the second link in the description. You get more leverage calls, more meme coin calls, 24/7 concierge service, more live streams, more gym reports, etc. So very good. It's 1 Ethereum for a year. It's only going to get more expensive as ETH continues to rise. So get it now while you can. Also sign up for BloFin, best non-KYC leverage trading exchange out there. Mika, what are your thoughts on SUI? I'm still tentatively bullish on SUI. Good support, I believe near 350 to 360. Mika says at the moment, Esteban, how do you think markets will act this week? Potentially one more flush and then a bounce. That's what I'm thinking, because everyone is waiting to see what happens at the Jackson Hole meeting. So keep an eye on that. August 21st to the 23rd, and then the Fed's comments on the 22nd. Jorge says, been trading ton lately. How do you see the 6-month horizon for ton 6 months from now? Maybe $6. Hype, how much do you think alts in the top 200 will pump after rate cuts? You know, so they're probably going to dump a month after rate cuts and then pump, I would say, probably 50 to 100%. Zachary, if the interest rates are cut, what does that mean? That means that the money printer is going to turn on. It means loans are going to be cheaper Interest rates are going to be cheaper. People can borrow loans for cheaper. Therefore, housing prices are probably going to boom and people are going to be able to afford housing. So it's going to be bullish short term. Long term, still TBD. Mark, can you set 2 limit orders on different levels on trade calls in case the other doesn't get tagged? What are the pros and cons of doing that? Oh, absolutely. You can set multiple limit orders. And then if one gets tagged and one doesn't, so be it. At least you're in, right? That's what it's about, guys. Is setting limit orders at major support levels in the daily and weekly time frames. If it gets hit, cool. If not, then fine, right? Like, you don't need to get a perfect entry every time. It's just about getting the best entry that you can get based off those levels. And then if you don't get hit, well, fine, you're still in profit. Zachary, yeah, interest rate cuts are good for the market short term, long term, and debatable. Golden Boy, what about Sui? Sui still bullish. Talha, Pakistan. Ah, nice. Niraj says, when is the next moon cycle? Potentially big move either side. Actually, Niraj, good question. I have to look at when the next moon cycle is. Actually, you've piqued my interest now. I'm going to go look. Give me a second. Next moon phase. Let's see. So next moon phase will be a new moon on August 22nd, 2025. All right. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. So guys, August 22nd, literally the same day that Powell is making comments, is the new moon. That's going to have a big implication. So if Powell is bearish, he's hawkish, then that's going to be a nasty drop on August 22nd. Like, we're going to see, that's going to be the dip for buying, 100%. Luis says, friend, we are quite from the Hispanic community that we are super interested and willing when in Spanish. Thanks. Hablo un poquito español, Luis, pero aprendió en la escuela para 3 años. I speak a little Spanish, but not too much. Nowhere near Luke's fluency. Luis, more budget, less percent needed to make big profits. Exactly. Hootie says, what are your thoughts on Sol, brother? I'm still bullish on Solana. 180, good support, and then 165 afterwards. Aaron, would you open a long on Sol at 178, stop us at 171 support? That's not a bad long, yeah. Sino, it's 5 a.m. in Switzerland. Praying and then watching you is my new morning routine. Awesome, Sino. There you go. Joaquin says, where should I place a limit order for DCA and Bitcoin, Link, and AVAX? Thanks, G. Off the top of my head, Joaquin, a DCA for Bitcoin, 114K to 113K. For Link, $24 and $21.60. And then for AVAX, probably $23 and $20. That boy Adrian, Link is one of the few coins on the green side while others are bleeding. Yeah, Link actually was bought by a good whale wallet that actually calls the top and bottom on a lot of things. Over $8 million was bought for Link that day, and that's why it rose so much. But I assume an announcement's going to come for Link if it hasn't come already. So yeah, Link is definitely gaining a lot of traction. Lisa says, thank you for the content. Hey, appreciate you, Lisa. Zid, can you look at Ton and Link for us? Yeah, I'll check that in a minute. Estimated targets for Sui, asked Talha. That's a good question on Sui. Maybe long-term $10. Alexander, morning CryptoData, how are you? Short question as a beginner with a couple months experience. Would you say it's better to watch a couple charts like 3 to 5 or better more? Alexander, it's best to watch, well, first, good morning to you. And then it's best to watch 3 to 5 charts. You never want to inundate yourself with a watch list of 20 coins because then you're just going to get flustered. You're going to get analysis paralysis. And at that point, you're not going to know what to do. If you focus on 3 to 5 coins, then you know how they move. You draw them more accurately. You know if your TA is working, and it becomes easier to predict their price movement versus spreading your attention so thin, right? So that's what I recommend. Israel, what's your opinion on Doge? It's not a bad coin. Like, it still has to catch its legs, right? Once Ethereum stops pumping, that momentum should flow over to Doge. Should flow over to Doge. I mean, there's other Ethereum betas too, like SPX, ENA, a couple others. Evan, any leverage platform that isn't BloFin, which isn't available in the US? So BloFin is available everywhere. If you just use a VPN, you can use BloFin. Obviously, there's other leverage platforms, but in my opinion, BloFin's the best. But yes, I mean, there are obviously other leverage ones, but they all require KYC, whereas BloFin doesn't. The Hunt. Hey, do you think Bitcoin goes below 100K during the September correction? It's possible, The Hunt. Maybe the lowest we go, I'd look at 108K. It's a possibility. S4, I just hope CD and Luke Belmar show up in a live stream at the end of this bull run just to look how far we come this year and to congratulate each other for locking in this year for crypto. Hey, appreciate that, S4. That will happen. Me and Luke will be on a live stream together. We've been on multiple, actually, last year. Ghost Rider, what do you think I should open long for Sol and DCA at? I think a long at Sol around 180 and then DCA at 165, but you'd need to open at very low leverage. That'd be like a 3 to 5x leverage max. Golden Boy, what do you think about Sui long at 332? That's not actually bad support. I'll have to look at Sui. Niraj, everyone, let's get ready. We need to sustain this chop, and hopefully we get a big move either side in the next 2 to 3 days. Yes, exactly, Niraj. Exactly. There's going to be a lot of volatility, guys, especially with that new moon, August 22nd. Thank you again for reminding me of that. Justin Lee, thank you for the data updates. Hey, no problem, Justin. Appreciate you. Hootie, do you think if there's a substantial pump from rate cuts, XRP will perform well? I mean, yeah, I think XRP is more or less, you know, a good performer. Sal, when do you think we bounce up? Maybe once we have one more flush. Itched, he studied, bro. Yes, I did. Peter, Sol major support on 180. What would be the stop loss if you go long? Ooh, great question. My stop loss if I go long, yeah, probably 171. Hype, good point to enter arrow long. I need to check that out. Boy says just hold Bitcoin and ETH. There you go. All right, guys, let's go ahead and look at the rest of the market analysis. So real quick, S&P making near all-time highs. RSI is starting to level out. Maybe a short-term dip in the S&P soon. Gold, maybe a little bounce here. RSI is starting to curve up. Maybe people are going to get out of risk-on assets, i.e. crypto and the S&P, and invest more into gold, which could mean, again, a little more chop downside in the near future. Oil futures, 62, nothing crazy there. And then the DXY. So DXY is rising. It had a nice little pump. So remember, the DXY is inversely correlated to Bitcoin. When it pumps, Bitcoin dumps. The DXY is the strength of the dollar. So inversely correlated. So if the DXY continues to pump here, it may cause a little volatility with Bitcoin. Now, we could even draw a trend line resistance here. Again, this is very, very light. But if the DXY does end up breaking that trend line, maybe Bitcoin could drop a little more. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that. Now, looking at the overall market. So some coins have been pumping. Light has been going crazy, guys. Light is a competitor to Launchcoin and even Pump. Like, Light's been doing insane recently. So congrats to anyone that got in the pre-sale at 20 mil. It's now at 100 mil. Now, looking at the overall market, Bitcoin is continuing to decline, 115.4K. Ethereum, 42.65. XRP, $3. Solana, 181. Again, getting close to that 180 level. Top gainers, OKB, Matic, and Hash. Like I said, Light's doing insane, 54% now. Absolutely wild performance, guys. Now, let's go ahead and look at the TVL. So, most networks have a slight outflow for TVL, total value locked. Again, people getting off chain, but nothing crazy. I mean, it's just the chop, right? It's a little percentage here and there. So nothing crazy on TVL wise. Over the past month, still most attention is on Ethereum. And then next you have Base. Base has been gaining a lot of traction, so keep an eye on that. And then Arbitrum and Hyperliquid also. So yeah, keep an eye on those. Now, looking at the Fear and Greed Index, currently 53 neutral. This is why we're chopping so much, because there's not really one bias one way or the other. Once we get into that fear area, then you really start finding some good DCA opportunities. Or in the greed area, then you can see momentum really ramp up to the upside. So keep an eye on both. Neutral, it's a little bit harder to predict where price action is going to go. Now, looking at ETF flows. Remember on Friday we had outflows. Monday, unfortunately, outflows again for Bitcoin. 53 million of outflows, while Ethereum is actually 109 million of outflows, guys. That tells you either A, institutions were overexposed because they were buying hundreds of millions of Ethereum, but considering its recent performance, that's why I'm thinking we may have a drop between 3870 to 4,000 on Ethereum. It's very possible, guys. Just looking at these outflows. Granted, if we have another big outflow day, like if Ethereum shows 5 to 600 million of outflows, that's going to be a short-term bottom within 1 to 3 days after that. Or if we have another couple days of outflows, then we'll be close to a bottom. Because remember, if it's 3, 4, 5 days of consecutive outflows, that's, in my opinion, equivalent to a huge day of outflows. Both of those scenarios marking the local bottom within 1 to 3 days. So keep that in mind. Now, let's go ahead and look at the chart for BTC. You can see here, Bitcoin is right on this trend line. Like, if it breaks this 115.3K, in my opinion, we're definitely going to 114K here. Remember, our entry is between 113K and 115K. So this little pocket right here, that's where our entry is at. Now, you also have support at 112K, but my entry for 113 and 114 is because of the weekly trend line. So let me show you guys the weekly trend line I was talking about. So on here, if you go to the weekly chart for Bitcoin, you can see here, that we do have this weekly trend line. Remember, this was a trend line that stemmed from the 2017 high, and it's called, or it's marked atop. Let me get this out of the way. It's marked the top of every high until then, until we finally broke above it and now retested it as support. I drew two just to incorporate the wicks as well, but you can see where this trend line intersects 114K right here, right? But then if you go a little bit lower, it's about 113.5. So I buffered it a little bit just to take into account a wick, but I put the stop loss at 111.4K because it's just below this wick here. Because I wanted to make sure we got deep enough, because I'm assuming these wicks will get front ran. Because if we do end up closing or reaching our stop loss at 111.4K, we're going to go to at least 106.9K, the next major support, right? So that's what I would start longing next, is I would look at 108K to 110K. That'd be my next long area if we do drop. But expecting the support to hold between 113 to 114, maybe wicking below. So that's what I'm watching. And then also you can see here, the RSI, this trend line I drew, rejected, and then it bounced off it as support July 28th, and now it may bounce off it again if we have one more flush. So keep an eye on that. Stock RSI is looking good on the weekly, reset near 50, so good to see there. But resistance for Bitcoin, if we bounce here, hopefully, then we'll see resistance major at 116.8K, and then after that, I would expect 119 to 120K. Remember, this is where liquidity is at. A lot of liquidity based off that heat map that we looked at in the beginning of the stream. Now, other than that, let's go ahead and look at Ethereum and Solana, and then I'll also look at Hyperliquid, Link, and Sui, and even Arrow as well. So Ethereum is at 4250. Let me get a drink of water real quick. It's at 4250. So you can see it's breaking through this 4300 resistance right now, right? Or support right now turned resistance. So the next logical area to long is 4000. Now, I also drew this weekly trend line because that's where Ethereum was rejecting off of before it broke out. Therefore, this weekly trend line would technically turn into trend line support. Resistance turns support, right? So you could see something like, okay, maybe one last flush, boom, and then continue higher from there, right? Like you could see something like that. It's possible. Overbought for this long, maybe, what, January of 2023, 16 to April 17. So that's, what, 3 months it was overbought. Here we have May of 19 to August. So June, July. Yeah, it's more or less almost overbought for this entire time. And then after this, you can see what happened during that time. It actually still rose, but then we had a big drop, right? So is that possible that that happens here? Still possible, guys. Like, I don't want to take anything out of the question, right? So we do need to have a reset on the weekly eventually, which this would make sense. But again, I mean, to each their own, just make sure you're maintaining your risk accordingly. Now, Solana. Let's go ahead and check that out. All right, so Solana's at 180.50. Ooh, it's getting towards that support level now. So the reason I drew the support is because you had resistance here, and then you had a bounce here, right? So again, is it strong support? It's okay. I mean, but we do have a lot of action. Now, if we go to the daily, actually, so you can see a little bit clearer. I mean, the daily, it bounced here, bounced here. So again, 180 is light support, but potential support. And then the next big one, even 173 technically, but I mean, because where it bounced off of here, 173. So if you guys want a DCA 173, that could be a good low. So 173 to 180 with a stop loss at, you know, below 165. I mean, really, if you have a stop loss at 163, I mean, but that would, I mean, that'd be a wide entry, right? So you'd be entering between 173 to 180. So at maximum, I would do 5x leverage, and then your stop loss would be at 163. So if we actually calculate that out, let's go ahead and calculate that. Give me a second. Okay, let me bring out the calculator here. So let's say, your average entry is like 176 minus 163 divided by 176. That's a 7% stop loss, 5x, and you're looking at a 36% loss if it hits your stop. So maybe just go 3x, right? Maybe just go 3x, 7.3. That'd be a 21% stop. So yeah, so if you're going to play, if you're going to long between 173 to 180 with the stop loss at 163, I would only do a 3x leverage on that. Because then if you hit your stop, you're going to lose around plus or minus 20%. So that's a play. Or you could just long at 180. Or you could just long at 173. Like either or, right? But 165 is actually a good area as well. So, I mean, pick your area. Wherever you want to long. Like, looking at the technicals here, Solana's not bad on the daily. The stock RSI is reset near 50. The RSI is reset near 50. So it could very well bounce at 180 as easily as it could bounce at 173. My money would be on a 173 bounce. Like if I was going to long, I would wait to long between 165 to 173. That'd be my long area. So that is what I would say for Solana. But again, you could DCA at each very easily. Now, let's go to Hyperliquid real quick. Hype, it's literally at its support right now. So, I mean, you can see the support here. So if you want a long Hype, I mean, it's not a bad area, honestly. It's literally at $42, which is also coinciding with its 50 EMA on the daily. So, like I said, good area to long Hype if you want to get a 5x leverage long. And your stop loss would be, let me see. I'd say a daily close below 41. Daily close below 41 could be your stop loss for Hype, like 5x leverage. And then your next long area would be 39.20. Excuse me. But yeah, so RSI is reset. Stock RSI is almost reset, so not too bad there. The weekly for Hype, I mean, stock RSI is pretty low. RSI is not too bad. So yeah, I mean, Hype doesn't look that bad. Like, honestly, Hype doesn't look horrible. So yeah, may not be a bad long there. Also, there was talks of SUI and Link. Let's go over SUI and Link. SUI's breaking below its 50 EMA. It's at 354. Next support would be around 340. I know someone mentioned 332. That's not a bad support either. So yeah, SUI long between 332 and 340. Low leverage, like 5x. You also have the 200 EMA at 326, which if you look, it's acted as resistance. So yeah, I would say you could have three. Was it too much alpha? Hold on, let me restore the chat. All right. All right, back in business. All right, so for Link, yeah, the flush is happening right now, live. This is what you get, guys, for joining the stream late at night. We're actually getting some real-time action here. So yeah, for Link, like I said, $24 is the first area of interest, and then after 24, you're looking at 2160. So that's wild, yeah. Stream froze. Like I said, it's too much alpha. Stream can't take it. 2160 is the next one. So 24 and 2160 for Link. If you're looking at the daily chart, RSI is crossing below signal line. RSI is not looking good, guys. Like $24 would be a very risky long. I mean, you could take it, but it's possible the RSI bounces here, right? But it's just, yeah, it's going to be risky. So I would DCA just a little bit at 24 and then more at 2160. Even the stock RSI is getting overbought too. Besides that, what was one else? Arrow. I remember someone asked me about Arrow. Arrow, I would not be longing until, at the very least, $1.09. And then 72 cents and 98 cents. So, yeah, like $1 and then $1.10. That'd be good areas to long. $1, $1.09. That'd be good areas to long. Because right now you can still see RSI is crossing below signal line. Stock RSI curving to the downside from overbought. Still a lot of bearish momentum on Arrow. I'd wait till the very least at 109 to 110. All right. And then after this, we have upcoming events. I already mentioned the Jackson Hole meeting, August 21st through the 23rd. You have Jerome Powell speaking August 22nd, either at 10 or 11 a.m. EST. Check my market update for that time. And then you also have the FOMC meeting September 17th. You have New Moon. The New Moon is on August 22nd, which is historically bearish. I know people are tongue-in-cheek about moon phases, but they actually work 70% of the time. So new moons are bearish, full moons are bullish, based off human emotion and other factors at play. So with that, let's go ahead and check the rest of the questions before we end the stream. Also, guys, if you haven't liked the stream, please like it. 93 viewers, only 58 likes. Have to get those likes up. Also, if you haven't joined the free Gym Hunters group, it's in the description, as well as the premium group. Second link in the description, 1 ETH for a yearly subscription. More live streams, more market updates, more leverage calls, meme coin calls, 24/7 concierge service, etc. and then use BloFin. Link in the description. Best non-KYC leverage trading exchange. Also, follow me on X if you haven't, at the CryptoData. I post the best content around and keep you guys apprised of the info. But let's go ahead and answer some questions here. All right. SWAR. Also, CD, can you check ETH altcoins chart? Very interesting info there. Yeah, let me check ETH altcoins real quick. Also, I remember I was going to check Bitcoin dominance, but I'll check ETH slash alts. Was like ETH total 2? Let's see. Actually, ETH others, right? ETH others, or it could be a total 2 chart as well. But yeah, this is interesting. Yeah, this is an interesting chart as well. On the weekly, could look like ETH could have a pullback versus other alts, and then alts could take a run afterwards. So very interesting chart there. We can also look at the total 3 chart, which is excluding the top, I believe, top 10 cryptocurrencies. So this is another one where alts, again, showing a little topish, but resetting a little bit. If we look at the daily, yeah. So, interesting. Nothing too crazy there. But BTC.D, remember they were saying on the daily chart there was a death cross. Yeah, so that death cross already happened. And that happened a few days ago. So that was, you know, nice little bearishness there. But good to see at least that you have, I mean, at least Bitcoin dominance is now resistance below that 60% level, which is exactly what you want to see. The weekly, oh, weekly's almost bottomed out. So may see a little relief for Bitcoin versus alts. I mean, alts may bleed just a little bit more. All right, let's go ahead and can't forget about Fartcoin. Oh yeah, Fartcoin is an interesting one. SWAR says, let's see. GM Ghostwriter, Eric, A-Data, have you seen AIoT or know anything about it? Been outperforming a lot last week. I don't know much about AIoT, but that's awesome though. It's been outperforming. SWAR, Bitcoin dominance just took a support in the middle of the range. Get ready for some chop. Yep, more chop. Q-Tag says, can't forget about Fartcoin. Fartcoin's an interesting one, right? If we look at... Yeah, right now it's continuing to decline. I mean, technically there's some support here, but I'd wait until 80 cents. If you can get Fartcoin at 80 cents, it's not a bad level. And then below that, it'd be 61. All right, let's see what else we got. Alex says, yo, what's up, guys? At uni and went to listen to music and ended up on the stream. Alex, good to have you, man. Good to have you. Mark, CD, can you teach us how you do your water fast, your before and after meals, and what you do in your supplementation during fast? Yeah, Mark, just a quick thing for the water fast. It also helps if you go on a low-carb, high-fat diet at least a few days prior to the water fast, so your body is already in a low form of ketosis. But for water fast, just, again, the biggest thing I did was just I drank water. I made sure I had my electrolytes. Make sure you have your salt, magnesium. Salt and magnesium are very important. Other than that, I mean, you could pretty much be fine. But I did that for 48 hours. And then once I did my refeed, I didn't eat everything at once. I eased into it, meaning I just had some bone broth. So you said chicken or beef, probably beef bone broth. So I had that. And then 30 minutes later, I had a light meal with like some eggs, avocado, and spinach and kale, which was drizzled in olive oil. So some good healthy fats, no carbs, because again, you don't want to spike your insulin too much. And then the next day, that's when I started to incorporate a little carbs like fruit, and then you can incorporate bigger meals later on in the day. SWAR, liquidity for Sol is still pending near 173. Maybe it's the last support zone. Yeah, it could be. Winter Moon, I entered ETH at 44.40. I'm doomed. Stop loss at 3,600. Should I just close now? I mean, you shouldn't. No, I don't think you should close now per se. But if you entered the trade and you have your stop loss, it hasn't hit your stop loss yet, so might as well just keep holding it. Juan, could you go over SPX? Yeah, I'll go over SPX real quick. Give me 1 second. All right. SPX is near its support level. Wait until 135 at the very least to long SPX, but it is looking pretty good. Below that, it'd be 115. Resistance afterwards is going to be 147, followed by 160. SWAR, POV, you understand that if you lock in your 20s, then you could be well millionaire in your 30s. Yeah, guys, like you seriously need to lock in right now. There's no opportunity like crypto right now. Eric says, looks like the flush could happen soon. Yep. Druv says, is Echelon Prime still a good play at this price? I'm staying away from gaming tokens. I mean, it's like an AI gaming, but I'm staying away from that. Scarface, do a check on Pengu. Yeah, I'll check. Pengu's good at 3 cents. I'm not sure if it's below that right now, but it's a good bet at 3 cents. What do you know? It's at 3.1 cents. Yeah, guys. Pengu's looking good. Pengu's looking real good, bouncing off its 50 EMA like that. So, yeah, I'd be interested at Pengu around here. 3 cents would be a money entry. If you can get Pengu near 2.95 to 3 cents, very, very good entry. Can you go over SPX? Yep, just did. Yep, already checked Pengu. Aculite, I saw some great people saying Bitcoin going down to 112 to 111K. Yep, very possible. Abhishek, 8 data. I invested ETH at 2,600. I took all profits at 4,280. As you mentioned already, you took it from 4,700. Now I'm waiting to reinvest at the bearish month of September. What are your thoughts? I think it's a good strategy, Abhishek. S4, also just realized, why do you use Chrome browser? Use Brave. It's safe for your crypto wallets and data. Appreciate that, S4. I'll definitely look. Chrome just has a lot of my saved data, and it's a lot easier for me, but I'll definitely look at using Brave. Adam, Ethereum leveraged short positions hit a record high yesterday based on Cointelegraph. I'm skeptical to short when the consensus is net bearish. That's a great point, Adam. Very, very good point on there. Whoops. Let's go ahead and bring back the chat. Louis says that bearish short yesterday, pinpoint, outstanding, calling everybody at least plus 15% stocks. Yeah, that was Kincaid. Kincaid called that. It was awesome. Kevin, I got it at work. I'm glad I made it. Hey, Kevin, good to have you here. Aculite, I love red days. Yeah, it's just shopping days. Zid, can you take a look at Ton for us? Yeah, I'll go ahead and look at Ton real quick. So Ton is breaking through its 50 EMA on the daily right now. It's right near that support level at 320. Ooh, yeah. Ton is close. I just hate how it broke through its 50 EMA on the daily. Like, Ton's not looking the best. If it holds here, good. But if it breaks through 320, like if Ton closes below 320 on the daily, I would at the very least look for 310. That'd be the next support. And then below that, I'd wait till 295. So that's my areas for Ton, 310 and 295. And then resistance, if we do break back to the upside, 335 is where I look at resistance, and 353, because that coincides with the 200 EMA resistance. Kevin says, any thoughts on Useless? No thoughts currently on it. It's an okay token. I mean, it was listed on Binance recently, so its strength has been fairly impressive. I'll check the chart real quick. Oh, that's a drop. Yeah, so this is from the Binance listing. Let's go on MEXC. So Useless is right at its 200 EMA. I mean, technically, if you want to try to long here, you could. Not horrible. I'd really rather long at 24.4 cents on Useless. And then below there, I mean, major support is going to be around 19 cents afterwards. And so, yeah, if we don't bounce here, 24.5, because the stock RSI is pretty oversold already. And then below that, 19 cents if we're really going far down for Useless. Let's see. Amir, what's going on, Amir? I'm doing great. I recently bought a Tesla, remodeling the office. Life is good. Appreciate it. Charles, AC, what are your thoughts on Bonk? I've allocated a huge portion of my portfolio on it. Ooh, Bonk has been underperforming. Bonk has been underperforming. It's like I've been waiting for that to start outperforming, but it just hasn't. Like, it's unfortunate, really. If we look at the daily, I mean, you could hope. Hope isn't a strategy, but the 200 EMA is at, 217. Below that, I look for some support near 2. And then below that, I'll look at support near 1.8. But Bonk's relative strength has been very weak. Very, very. I mean, you can just see the downtrend. So if you're looking for a better beta to Sol, I would look at Radium or Yeah, probably Radium or even Useless. I'd look at one of those two if you're looking for a beta play to Solana. But I mean, Bonk, gosh, it's got to do something. It's just been bleeding hard. So hopefully it bounces for you. Abhishek says, hey, do you know the Dr. Prof, who's one of the crypto analysts on X? I do not know him. The Brunson says, Fartcoin is starting to look nice, exhibiting two important factors, corrective chart behavior with clear bounces and lows. Yeah. Amir, this past 2 months were the best trading months of my life, thanks to you and all the info you provided. Amir, that's so awesome. So happy for you. Congratulations. Dubergison says, attention and euphoria have faded versus a few months ago, but price is still looking corrective and people are still talking about it. Exactly. Very interesting. Peter, just did a 96-hour fast. The hardest part is to do 48 hours. After that, it's super easy. Just use ChatGPT for everything. Peter, great advice. And you're exactly right. Like, my 48-hour fast, it was brutal. It was rough. Once I got to, like, I would say around 26 to 30 hours, it was pretty hard. And then near that 40-hour mark, like, I was waiting to eat something. So, yeah, that's good to know. But after 48 hours, it gets easier. Scarface, do Pengu? Yep, I did that. 3 cents is a good long on Pengu if you can get it. Even 3.1, it's at the 50 EMA on the daily. Duber Jensen says, if Bitcoin and ETH give us another dip lower, I could see Fartcoin putting a final low in the 80 to 90 cent range. Yep. Rudy, what should I use instead of seed oils? Instead of seed oils, use beef tallow, which a lot of fast food places are starting to cook in. Or you can use coconut oil or olive oil. Use extra virgin cold pressed olive oil. Organic if possible, but yeah. Olive oil, beef tallow, or even coconut oil. Those aren't bad instead of seed oils. Dibber Jensen says the key is accumulating the coins you have longer term conviction in when price and attention is correcting. Let's see how this plays out over the next few months. Yes. Can you also do XRP? If you already did tell me, I'll rewatch. We have some good XRP people in here. I know that more people have been trading XRP recently. It's not a bad token at all. XRP is getting close to support, actually. 295, good support, coincides with the 50 EMA on the daily. After that, 275. I would have limit orders at both. The stock RSI is getting oversold. RSI is curving to the downside. So yeah, 295 and 275 Amir. Good support levels for XRP. And then after that, for resistance, 313 and 330. So, all right. Tugatoshi, when do you think we could move back up? What do you think about Ray, Game, and Ski? Ray is not bad. Good AI token on base. Game and Ski, no opinion. Adam, can you check Brett? Yeah, I'll check Brett. Curious that you guys are still trading Brett. I know that one, the momentum hasn't been the best. Got about 6 minutes left in the stream, guys. I still got to eat after my workout, so I'm pretty hungry right now. Brett is, it's near a little support right now. 5 cents, not too bad. Below that, next major support is at 4.5 cents. Stock RSI is starting to get oversold, like we saw recently with our previous token we were watching, XRP. So, yeah, maybe a bounce soon in Brett. But at the very least, I mean, 5 cents and 4.7. 4.7 isn't bad support. But yeah, 4.5, 4.7, and 5 cents. With resistance being 5.5 and 6 cents afterwards. Hootie says, do you use any of the Hero Stack supplements? So I don't, but I'm sure they're very good. Nate's extremely smart in fitness. So Nate Belmar, super smart. So yeah, definitely check them out. Charles, your thoughts on just a meme coin? It has been dumping for the past few days. Yeah, it lost momentum. Like, it had a lot of big backers, then it just died, unfortunately. Hey, no problem, Kevin. Itched. What about Uranus? Basically, dupe version of Fartcoin. Not a bad token. If Meow can continue to pump it, couldn't do bad. Eric, are you still in those meme coin calls? I'm in Awoke. That's what I'm in right now. And Labubu, I'm holding a little bit of that on ETH. Eswar, how is OM still alive? Yeah, OM's just horrible. That boy Adrian, any thoughts of the Benner cycle chart? 2026 marks high and supposedly a bear cycle for 4 to 6 years. Like, what's the probability based off a track record? Just based off of what you told me, pretty low probability, 5% or less. I do think a top is going to be in 2026, but I don't think the bear market's going to be 4 to 6 years. Winter Melon, what time do you work out, go to the gym, morning or night? Usually it's like early afternoon, so around 2 to 3 p.m. Eswar, CD is so locked in on crypto, he forgot to change his profile picture of his Google account. Jokes aside, you're always a great mentor for me. Hey, appreciate that, Eswar. That one Mexican says, hey, John, I'm using Jim Hunter's copy trading bought on BloFin, and it's been a month, but I'm down close to 40% from when I started. Yeah, so that is just based off a chop, right? And so it's really a trend trading bot, and it does DCA on these dips. But once we start going a lot higher, then it should be good for a momentum trade. Or even if we go a lot lower, it'll enter a momentum trade for a short. So it's just patience with that bot. Rudy says, can you check Sui and Vet? Yep, already checked Sui. I'll check Vet in a minute. Amir, love you, man. Thank you. Ain't no problem. Love you too, Amir. Lon Chain says, Brett in 2025 is crazy. Exactly. IK says, thoughts on XMR long-term? I don't trade it or anything, but it's a blue chip pick long-term for me, either 1,000. XMR is okay, but it just hasn't been gaining the adoption I thought it would. IK or $0 from getting banned everywhere. Exactly. That's the biggest risk. What happened to Bast? That's a good question, Zid. Not sure, actually. I'll check up on that. Israel, have you tried Fireblood by Tate? I have not tried that either. But yeah, interesting stacks. Eswar, do you have any intention of launching a coin of yours and we will buy it before anyone else? No, I'm not launching my own token. Way too much stress. Way too much stress from that. IK, I'm bullish on Uranus. I mean, I don't know. Luke collab with Meow. So yeah, who knows? Hootie says, thanks for all the alpha. A, no problem. Roundneck says, why did you give Tristan Tate the Johnny Walker blue label? Roundneck, I am not Luke Belmar. You're only the 121th person to ask. I am not Luke, but that's a funny question. Again, you got to study. All right, let's check. What was the token I said I would check? Vet, because I already checked Sui. Vet, let's see, not bad support near 2.2, so 2.2 cents. And then below that, I would look at 2 cents. And then below that, 1.9. So 1.9 to 2, and then 2.2 cents. The stock RSI is almost oversold, so I definitely wait until it gets to 2.2 cents at the very least for Vet. All right, sweet. All right, guys. Well, that does it with all the questions. Again, if you guys aren't following me on X, I would very much appreciate it. At the CryptoData, I try to give you guys the best content I can. Focus on data, not on emotions, especially with these live streams as well. But also, if you guys haven't liked the live stream, appreciate it. 87 viewers, 69 likes. It helps spread Gym Hunters to the masses. Also, if you guys want to join the free Gym Hunters group, link is in the description. The premium group is the second link in the description. 1 Ethereum for a yearly subscription. You get more live streams, more leverage calls, more meme coin calls, 24/7 concierge service, more gym reports, etc. So definitely join that if you haven't. Also, if you haven't signed up for BloFin, the best non-KYC leverage trading exchange, in the description as well. So thank you guys. Thank you guys so much. Eric says data's counting up each time people call him Luke Belmar. I tell you, it's crazy. Like, once Luke and I are in a live stream, I think that's going to end it, which we have been in the past, but a more recent live stream, I think that's going to end it. But people think my voice is AI generated. I don't know if they think I'm Luke and then I'm having AI with my voice, so I don't sound like Luke. I don't know. It's hilarious, though. I mean, it's an ongoing joke at this point. I take it in stride. So, yeah, Peter, the premium group is 1 Ethereum for a yearly subscription. So, as Ethereum rises, obviously the cost is going to rise. So, yeah, it's the second link in the description if you want to check it out. But thank you guys so much for watching. Love you guys. Have a great night, great morning, wherever you're at. Have a great rest of the week. Tomorrow, I'm going to have a live stream as well. I believe that's going to be at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. It's going to be about navigating the market during these choppy times. So stay tuned for that. Again, love you guys. Have a great day, great night, wherever you're at. Talk soon.